The mining colony on Vern 7 wasn't supposed to have children. But Trikla, the small Zetherian cub with silver-striped fur and curious amber eyes, had stowed away on his parents' transport 3 cycles ago. Now he was as much a part of the dusty outpost as the Red Rocks themselves. Myra Haldren had noticed the cub watching her work from behind storage crates for weeks. She'd pretend not to see him, letting him think he was clever. Humans understood the value of letting children believe in their own stealth. It was how they learned confidence. On the day everything changed, Myra was calibrating the atmospheric processors when she heard the scream, a high-pitched wail that sent ice through her veins. She dropped her tools and ran toward the maintenance shaft, where Trikla had been exploring against all warnings. The cub lay at the bottom of a 15-foot drop, his left hind leg bent at an angle that made Myra's stomach turn. His fur was matted with dust, and his eyes were wide with terror and pain. The nearest Zetherian medical facility was 4 hours away by transport, and the colony's medbay was designed for humans and Krell workers, not for the delicate physiology of a young Zetherian. "Hey, little guy," Myra said softly, descending into the shaft. "I've got you." Trikla whimpered, his triangular ears flat against his head. His breathing came in short, panicked gasps. Mira had seen enough broken bones in her 30 years growing up in Earth's reclamation zones taught you practical medicine whether you wanted it or not. The leg was fractured badly, but the bone hadn't pierced the skin. That was something. She keyed her comm. "This is Halderan. I need a med kit at Shaft 7, and get me Chief Medical Officer Velther, now." While she waited, Mira kept talking to Trikla in soothing tones, the way her grandfather had talked to her when she'd broken her arm falling from a tree. It didn't matter that the cub probably couldn't understand every word. Tone was universal. The medkit arrived first, lowered down by a concerned Krell worker. Myra popped it open, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. Painkillers she'd have to estimate the dosage for Zetherian biology, antiseptic, bandages, and there, tucked in the bottom where she'd added it herself against regulation, was a roll of Earth-standard duct tape. Velther's voice crackled through the comm, sharp with concern. "Haldren, what is the situation?" "Broken leg. Compound fracture likely. The cub's in shock, and we don't have time to wait for a proper transport. His parents will lose their minds if we don't stabilize him now." There was a pause. "Do not move him. Do not attempt any procedures. Our physiology is too different from yours. Wait for the medical team." Myra looked at Trikla's leg, at the unnatural angle, at the way the cub's breathing was becoming more labored. She'd seen shock before. 4 hours was too long. "Negative," she said quietly. "I'm going to stabilize the fracture. Haldren, that is a direct order." She muted the comm. "Sorry, buddy," she whispered to Trikla. "This is going to hurt." She administered the painkiller, a careful guess based on his body mass, and waited 30 seconds for it to take effect. Then, with the gentle firmness her grandfather had taught her, she aligned the leg. Trikla yowled, but the sound was weaker now, dulled by the medication. Working quickly, Myra fashioned a splint from 2 pieces of broken piping, padding them with strips of her own shirt. Then came the duct tape. She wound it carefully around the splint, securing it without cutting off circulation, creating a rigid structure that would keep the bone in place. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't sterile, but it was effective. By the time Velther and the medical team arrived, Trikla's breathing had steadied. The cub was even purring faintly, a sign of relief in Zetherian young. Velther descended into the shaft, his 4 eyes widening as he took in the makeshift splint. "What have you done?" "Stabilized the fracture," Myra said, standing and dusting off her knees. "His vitals are improving." The Zetherian doctor moved closer, examining the leg with his scanner. His mandibles clicked in what Myra had learned was disapproval. "This is ... savage, primitive. You used adhesive bonding strips meant for industrial repair on a living being?" "I used what I had. The bone is aligned. The fracture is stable. He'll make it to proper medical care now." Velther's team carefully lifted Trikla onto a stretcher, the cub still purring despite his ordeal. As they prepared to transport him, Velther turned back to Mira. "You violated protocol. You ignored a direct medical order. You employed techniques that are not recognized by any galactic medical standard." Mara met his gaze steadily. "I saved his life. Perhaps." Velther's mandibles clicked again. "But your methods are brutal. Duct tape on a child." She shrugged. "Where I come from, Duct tape fixes everything. Spaceships, water pipes, broken bones. It's reliable. It is barbaric. It works. The medical team departed with Trikla, leaving Mira alone in the shaft with Velthur. The doctor stood there for a long moment, his scanner still running over the data from the cub's leg. Finally, he spoke. The alignment is ... perfect. Better than our auto-stabilizers would have achieved in field conditions. How? Practice, Myra said, and necessity. Earth isn't gentle, Doctor. We learn to fix things with whatever we have, or we don't survive. Velthur's eyes studied her. I will be filing a report. I expect you will. He turned to leave, then paused. The cub's parents wish to thank you. They are ... grateful. Myra nodded. Tell them Trikla is brave. He barely cried. I will tell them the humans saved their son with industrial adhesive and pieces of broken metal. There was something in Velthur's tone now, not quite approval, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. They will think you are either a miracle worker or insane. Most people think both, Myra replied with a slight smile. 3 days later, Myra received a summons to the medical bay. She expected disciplinary action, perhaps even a formal reprimand from the Galactic Medical Council. Instead, she found Velthur with a group of Zetherian medical students projecting a hologram of Trikla's leg. Notice the precision of the alignment, Velthur was saying. Achieved with minimal equipment in adverse conditions. The human employed a method called field stabilization, common to her species. While unorthodox, the results speak for themselves. He looked up as Mira entered. Ah, Specialist Haldoran. I was just explaining your creative approach to emergency medicine. Is Trikla okay? Myra asked. The cub is fully recovered. The leg is healing ahead of schedule. Velthur paused. I have been asked to inquire whether you would be willing to conduct a seminar on human emergency field medicine. It seems there is interest in your savage methods, Myra laughed. You want me to teach alien doctors how to use duct tape? We prefer to call it adaptive resource utilization in crisis scenarios, Velthur said dryly. But yes. As Mira agreed and left the medical bay, she thought about her grandfather. About growing up in the ruins, about learning to fix broken things because waiting for proper help meant not surviving. Humans weren't the strongest or the fastest or the smartest species in the galaxy, but they knew how to make do. And sometimes in a universe of sophisticated technology and rigid protocols, a roll of duct tape and the willingness to act was worth more than all the proper procedures in the galaxy. Trikla was alive, that was what mattered. And somewhere on Earth, her grandfather would have been proud.